Last week I was on vacation in Iceland, so I'll be sharing with you how I was able to conquer Iceland. I will tell you where to stay, how to get around, what to pack, what to eat, and what you will be seeing while enjoying your time. So now, what exactly should you pack for a trip to Iceland? And as the name implies, yes, it is cold in Iceland. Now, I went to Iceland in the summertime, as you know, because I went last week and it's summer now for me. But I went to Iceland last week in the summertime, so I don't know what the weather is like in the wintertime. All I know is that it is super cold, very windy, and there's lots of snow. So I highly recommend you don't travel to Iceland in the wintertime, only if you want to see the northern lights. But if you okay with not seeing the northern lights, then I highly recommend you travel to Iceland in the summertime, because for one, it's super cold, very windy, and it is very snowy. And secondly, it is dark all the time in the wintertime. So it is just miserable there in the wintertime. But in the summertime, it is sunny all the time, only a few hours of darkness, and the temperature gets at the most in the 50s. So it's not like super cold, but still cold enough. So I highly recommend you travel to Iceland in the summertime. And I will tell you, the weather is very unpredictable in Iceland. So for example, one minute it can be sunny, next minute it can be pouring down rain, then the next minute it can be very windy. I mean, like almost seem like a hurricane windy. So plan for that when packing. Now, besides knowing what the weather is, now you know what the weather is, I recommend you pack waterproof clothing, because as I said, the weather can be very unpredictable in Iceland. Like it can be sunny one minute, pouring down rain the next. So pack waterproof clothing. And the jacket I packed, which did me very well, was this jacket here. As you can see, it is a North Face jacket, as you can see. And what I like about this jacket is it has 2 layers to it. So if you can see that, it has a zipper right here. So you can take this layer off and wear it as a separate jacket, or put the 2 together. And it kept me very warm and very dry because it is waterproof, and it has a bunch of pockets so I could put my phone and my camera in it. So I highly recommend you get a jacket like this, as you can see. And again, this is a North Face jacket, and it's actually considered a ski jacket, and I actually got it when I went skiing a few years ago. But I used this jacket for my trip to Iceland, and it worked very well for me. So if I can, I'll put the link to it in my description down below for you guys if you want to get that exact jacket. Now, another thing I recommend you pack on your trip to Iceland is waterproof pants. Now, I couldn't find the pants I had taken with me because my mother had unpacked the suitcase and put them away somewhere. But if I could have found a picture of them, they would be on the screen here. And waterproof pants are must for Iceland, because as I keep saying, the weather is unpredictable, so it might rain instantly when you're somewhere. So be prepared for that. And you might be doing a lot of like walking, so you might walk in water, for example, so you might get your pants wet. So bring waterproof pants with you to Iceland. And besides having a waterproof jacket and waterproof pants, I recommend you have waterproof shoes, and just good walking shoes, because you're going to be doing a lot of walking in Iceland. You're going to be walking on rocks, you're going to be walking on a beach. You're just going to be doing a lot of walking in Iceland. So I highly recommend you have good walking shoes. And like my pants, I couldn't find my shoes I had taken with me to Iceland because my mother put them away somewhere. But if I found it, then I would have posted a picture on the screen here of what they look like. And the shoes I got, they were perfect for my trip to Iceland because they were waterproof, very comfortable, and the bottom had good traction, so if I was walking on rocks or something, I wasn't slipping. So I highly recommend you get shoes like the ones I got. And if I could find them online, then I will put the link to them in my description box down below for you so you can go get the exact shoes I got. But they worked perfectly for me. So I recommend you get a waterproof jacket, waterproof pants, and good walking shoes that are waterproof. Now, another thing I recommend you do is pack things that you can layer with, because as I keep saying, the weather is very unpredictable, and so you never know if it's going to be freezing cold one minute, then not super cold the next minute, but still cold. So I recommend you pack clothes you can layer with, like for example, pack short sleeve shirts, pack leggings, pack jackets like pullover jackets or hoodies, pack all of that, because you can always take off layers if you get hot. So I highly recommend you pack layers with you. But I will say, when I went to Iceland last week, I didn't actually wear layers because it didn't get super cold for me. But I will recommend you pack layers anyway, because you can always take them off, as I said. So now you know what to pack for your trip to Iceland. Now you're probably wondering, where exactly am I going to stay when I'm in Iceland? Well, I don't really know that much about the hotels in Iceland because I didn't stay at a hotel. I stayed at an Airbnb. But I do recommend, if you want to save money, then I recommend you stay at an Airbnb. And the Airbnb I stayed at was very nice. It had 2 bedrooms, a living room, a small kitchen, and it was very nice. And I stayed near Reykjavik, Ravicek. That is like the big city, like the capital of Iceland. And I recommend you stay there because for one, it's like the big city and stuff, and 2, there's a lot you can do. Like there's lots of shops, lots of places you can eat. So I recommend you stay near that city, or you can stay in the north, like in I don't know what it's called. It's like Reykjavik, something like that. The name will be at the bottom of the screen. But yes, that's like the north. You can stay there as well. And it's such a cute town there. Have lots of places to eat, a few shops, very nice there. So you can either stay where I stayed, which was the city, which was Ravicek, Reykjavik, whatever it's called, or the north, which was Reykjavik, whatever it's called, name at the bottom of the screen. But yes. But as I said, I don't know too much about the hotels, so I can't really recommend you stay at one specific hotel. But I do recommend you get an Airbnb if you want to save a little money. So now you know what to pack and you know where to stay. So now you're probably wondering, how am I going to get around in Iceland? Well, there are 2 ways you can get around in Iceland. And the first way is by doing tours, and you can do tours to like different sites or for the city, but I would only recommend you do a tour if you're not comfortable driving in Iceland, because all the street signs are in a different language and you drive like 100 miles or more, and there's lots of roundabouts. So if you're not comfortable driving in Iceland, then I highly recommend you don't drive in Iceland. And I recommend you do a tour bus if you have little kids with you, because you'll just be sitting on a tour bus so you can keep track of them more easily than if you're driving. And I recommend you do a tour bus if you are an older person. The only thing I don't recommend a tour bus for is if you're going to all the sites and stuff, because it can take you more than one day to do each site, because you're spending more time there at each site because there's a lot of people with you and you have to give everyone a lot of time to look at a site. So that is why I don't recommend a tour bus. And I will say the tour buses can get pretty pricey, so that is another reason why I don't recommend the tour buses. But if you are okay with driving in Iceland, then I highly recommend you rent a car, and that is what me, my mother, and sister did. We rented a car. And I actually highly recommend you rent a car because, for one, you can go wherever you want. You don't have to go anywhere specific that a tour takes you. And you can take as much or as little time as you want seeing a site. So like, for example, we went to a waterfall and a tour bus was there. We were there for less time than the people on the tour were. And we got to see more sites that day than those people on the tour did. So that is why I highly recommend you rent a car with the when you're traveling to Iceland because you can travel wherever you want and spend as much time as you want at a specific location. So now you know what to pack for Iceland, where to stay for Iceland, and how you're going to get around in Iceland. Now you're probably wondering, what am I going to eat while I'm in Iceland? Well, the first thing I will say is the food is very expensive in Iceland, so I would bring your own snacks with you when you're traveling to Iceland, because if you're driving for a few hours a day, you will get hungry. So it's very helpful to have your own snacks with you in Iceland. That way you're not always stopping for food. And I also recommend you bring your own bread. That way you can make sandwiches and have those for lunch. And I recommend that you bring your own coffee with you to Iceland, because they do not have coffee in Iceland. They only have lattes and espressos, and they don't give you that much of them to drink. So I highly recommend you bring your own coffee with you to Iceland and bring your own snacks with you to Iceland. And also, I don't recommend you buy any alcoholic drinks when you're in Iceland, because they are very pricey. Like for a for a glass of wine, it is $25. Whereas where I live in America, it only costs like $8 for a glass of wine. So I don't recommend you buy any alcohol while you're in Iceland. And I do recommend you only go out to dinner or go to a restaurant for like one meal, whether it be lunch or dinner, because that'll help you save money. And just to get pastries for breakfast. So that is all about the food and how you can save money towards like other things instead of buying food all the time. So now you know what to pack, where to stay, how to get around, and what to eat. Now I'm going to tell you what you're going to be seeing in Iceland. Now in Iceland you will be seeing a lot of waterfalls, mountains, geysers, and caves in Iceland. So you're going to be doing a lot of walking. So as I said, pack a good jacket and pack good shoes with you. And the first thing I did day one, which is when I just arrived in Iceland, was I checked out the city, because I was staying near the city, which is called Reykjavik. The name will be at the bottom of the screen. But I checked out the city, and we went in all the different shops, and we looked at the church, which is a very famous church. Here's what it looks like. I have a picture, video, whatever it is, for you to see. Here's what it looks like. And here is what the inside of the church looks like. Very beautiful, if I say so myself. Here is what it looks like. And then after we saw the city, which here's a picture of like the street view of the city that I had taken. Here is what it looks like. Okay. So that was the first day. We went to Iceland. We saw the city. Then the next day, day 2, we did the Ring Road and the Diamond Circle. Now both of those are good to see the same day because they're near each other. But you have to wake up early to do both of those the same day. And on both of those, the Ring Road and the Diamond Circle, you will see a bunch of different sights. You will see a waterfall, which here's the first one I saw. Here's what it looks like, as you can see. And then here is the sign of what it's called. And if you want to read everything on the sign, you can pause the video and read everything. But here is the sign for it. You'll see a bunch of different waterfalls on the ring road and on the diamond circle. So here is an overview of some of the waterfalls we saw. And then here is a national park that we went to. Here's the big overview of the national park. And actually, Game of Thrones was filmed in Iceland, and they filmed some of the scenes at this national park. So that is very cool that I got to see that when they filmed some of the Game of Thrones. So that was all of day 2, as we did the ring road and we did the diamond circle. We did those both the same day. You just have to wake up early and to do them both the same day. And there is a bunch of different sights you'll see, because you'll see waterfalls, geysers, and you'll see cave. No, we didn't see cave that day. And you'll see the national park. Oh, and before I forget, we did see this geyser on the diamond circle, and here it is like erupting and everything. So you will see that on the diamond circle.
Oh, okay, yes, that's what we were waiting for. Oh, yay, the baby, that was.
And then the third day we went to the north, and in the north you have Conqure, if that's how you pronounce it. I'll have the name at the bottom of the screen, and that is in the north. And again, you'll see waterfalls, you'll see a cave, and you'll see rock formations. And here is some of the things we saw. So here is the waterfall that we saw, very beautiful. And then here is a cave that we saw the inside of. Again, very beautiful, very breathtaking.
Be careful, you don't want to fall in the water. We do have other clothes, but even so. I wonder how deep that water is. And you see the rocks at the bottom. I think the water is supposed to be.
And then here is a beach that we went to, which again, very breathtaking. But that day it was like very windy, so I didn't really get that many pictures of it. That is what we did the third day, but in order to go to the north, it took us 4 hours because we were in near the city. So we actually took us 2 days to do the north because we lived near the city. And so we actually spent the night in the north at a guest house. And it was just like a house where you all share a bathroom. Like you have more than one bathroom there, but you all share a bathroom, has showers in there, and you have your own room. And we had 3 beds in our room. And I personally wouldn't stay there more than one night. But if you're there and it's very cheap, and that's what I recommend you do if you're traveling to the north and just staying for one night somewhere, I would stay somewhere cheap. So this guest house was perfect for us. And that is what we did that day, day 3. And then day 4, we went to see a We went to see these houses that had moss on them, which was very interesting to see. We went to see the elf city place thing. I don't really know. It was a bunch of different rock formations. It was like the city of elves. And we went to this beach that had these remains of a sunken ship on there. Very interesting to see. And that is what we did the 4th day. And we just came home after we saw those sights. Just came back to our Airbnb. And then the 5th and final day, we were in Iceland. We just stayed near the city. And we went in some of the shops again. And then we went to take a picture at this like statue, I guess you would call it. And then we just did the Blue Lagoon that day. And I highly recommend you do the Blue Lagoon because it is very relaxing. But I will warn you about this because I was not warned about it. And I'm a little traumatized. But I will say, you have separate locker rooms, obviously, for men and women. But there will be nudity in the locker rooms. And that kind of terrified me because I did not expect it. Like, as soon as I walked in, there was nudity. And I was not expecting it. So I'm warning you now. Just be prepared for that. And the Blue Lagoon is actually just a geothermal pool. And it is very relaxing. You get to put on a mud mask. You get a drink like wine or beer or whatever. Or a smoothie or water or whatever. And it's just very relaxing. So I highly recommend you do the Blue Lagoon. And so that is everything I did in Iceland. And that was how I was able to conquer Iceland and see all the sights in just a few days. So my video that I'm sharing with you as my dance video, it was hard for me to decide what video to do. But the video I've chosen to share with you is a video from Dance Moms. And I try not to pick videos that are from like Dance Moms or like Dance with the Stars or So You Think You Can Dance because you've probably seen those before. I try to pick videos that are like not as well known. But this dance I thought was perfect to recommend for this video. And it is called Dance Moms Group Dance. The thinner the air, the harder to breathe. And it's basically supposed to be them on like the top of a mountain. And they're supposed to be like hard to breathe because as you know at the top of the mountain the air gets thinner. So that is why I'm recommending this video for you because for one, it reminded me of Iceland because there's a lot of mountains in Iceland. And for two, they're wearing like a almost like a winter outfit type of thing. And it reminded me again of Iceland. So if you want to, I'll put the link to this dance in my description box down below. So you can go check it out if you want to see what this dance is all about. Now the quote I'm sharing with you is, I've had that kind of experience myself. I'm looking at a map and I see this place that makes me think I absolutely have to go there, no matter what. And most of the time, for some reason, the place is far away and hard to get to. I feel this overwhelming desire to know what kind of scenery this place has or what the people are doing there. It's like measles. You can't show other people exactly where the passion comes from. It's curiosity at its purest sense and inexplainable inspiration. And it's by Hakuna. I can't even say the name. But yes, that is the quote I am sharing with you because, for one, it reminded me of Iceland because a lot of the places I saw on the map seemed very interesting and made me want to go see them. And they were also very hard to get to because they were like in the middle of nowhere. And they also made me think, what do the people do when they get there? Because if you're going to see a waterfall, what do you just do? Look at the waterfall? So that is why I had chosen this quote because I think it made me think of my experience in Iceland. So I hope you guys liked this video, and it was a different kind of video for me to do on this channel because there's more of a guide of how to conquer a place for vacation. And I hope this video was very useful for those of you that want to travel to Iceland, those of you that maybe are planning to travel to Iceland in the future, or if you're just curious to know how to plan for a trip to somewhere like Iceland. So I hope you guys like this video by giving it a huge thumbs up, And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed to my channel to get more videos like this one.